In a quiet fishing town, nestled along the sun-kissed coast of Ghana, lived a man named Kojo Mensah. He wasn't a man of great wealth or status, but everyone in the village knew his name. They knew him for his gentle spirit, his tireless work ethic, and the genuine respect he showed to every single person he met. Life had dealt Kojo a simple hand, yet his heart overflowed with gratitude for what he had. His greatest treasure wasn't the fish he caught, but the moment he returned home each day to his loving wife Abina. Her smile was the light of his world. Their life was simple, peaceful, and full of love. But this peaceful existence, as beautiful as it was hanging by a thread, just waiting for the one day when everything would change forever. Have you ever wondered what happens when dreams of a glamorous life clash with the reality of a simple one? Meet Abina and Kojo. They lived in a small village, but Abina's heart longed for more. She dreamt of dazzling city lights, designer clothes, and a life of luxury, a world away from their humble beginnings. Kojo, on the other hand, was content with their life, especially when Abina gave birth to their beautiful twin daughters. He saw them as a blessing, a sign that their love could finally mend and grow stronger. But for Abina, the twins weren't a joy. They were a chain, tying her to the very life she was so desperate to escape. She felt trapped, and the cries of her babies sounded like the death of her own dreams. One early morning, long before the sun kissed the sea, Kojo woke up to find the other side of his bed cold and empty. His wife, Abina, was gone. His heart began to pound a frantic rhythm against his ribs. Scanning the small room, his eyes landed on a single folded note resting on their worn wooden table. With trembling hands, he picked it up. The words were simple, but they shattered his world into a million pieces. I cannot live this life anymore. Take care of the children. The world just fell away from beneath him. His wife, the love of his life, had not only left him, but she had abandoned their newborn twin daughters, Emma and Essie. In the stillness of the dawn, with only the soft cries of his babies, Kojo faced the crushing reality of being a single father. His life had changed forever. Days turned into months, and Kojo's struggle to raise the twins alone was immense. Every morning, he'd head to the market to sell fish, then take on any odd job he could find. Through it all, he carried his two precious daughters on his back, walking miles and miles each day. There were nights he went to bed hungry, just so they could have a little something to eat. In the village, whispers followed him like a shadow. People called him cursed, pointing and staring, but Kojo never let their words break him. He would just smile, a quiet, knowing smile, and say, "My daughters will rise one day. God does not sleep." His faith was his shield, and his love for his children was his strength. Growing up, Amma and Essie were a pair of bright, observant girls. Every single day, they'd watch their father come home, completely exhausted from a long day's work. His hands were rough and calloused, and his clothes were always soaked through with sweat. But you know what? He never, ever complained. Not once. Instead, every night, he would gather them close and tell them the most incredible stories. Stories of powerful African queens, brilliant inventors, fearless warriors, and visionary dreamers. He'd look them both in the eyes, his own tired but full of love, and he'd say, "You are destined for greatness, both of you." He planted a seed of belief in them, a belief that they could achieve anything. When the twins turned 7, Kojo took a deep breath and used every last penny he had saved to enroll them in school. It was a huge sacrifice, but he knew it was their only chance. Almost immediately, their teachers started noticing something special about the girls. Emma, with her sharp mind, could solve math problems that stumped kids twice her age. Essie, on the other hand, had a spark for science and innovation, always building and creating things out of scraps. Their potential was undeniable, a shining beacon of hope, but the reality was harsh. Kojo could barely afford their uniforms, and the cost of books felt like a mountain he couldn't climb. Some nights, after the girls were asleep, he'd sit alone in the dark, tears streaming down his face. silently wondering how on earth he was going to keep his brilliant daughters in school. Imagine this. A long, grueling day is finally ending. The smell of the sea and fish hangs heavy in the air. Kojo has been selling his catch since dawn, and as the last rays of sunlight fade, he suddenly collapses. His two young daughters, Emma and Essie, rush to his side, their hearts pounding with fear. Tears stream down their faces as they see their father, completely drained from a lifetime of hard work. To provide for them in that heart-wrenching moment. A silent promise is made between the two sisters. Looking at their father, they vow to each other that they will succeed. They will build a future so bright that it honors every drop of sweat, every sacrifice he ever made for them. That single promise wasn't just a wish. It became a burning fire, a relentless drive that would shape their entire lives and forge their incredible destiny. After years of struggle, the tide finally began to turn for the twins. Their hard work paid off in a huge way as they started winning national competitions, one after another. Soon, scholarships and recognition poured in from all across Ghana. It was an incredible transformation. By the time they turned 18, AMA had secured a prestigious scholarship to study finance, and Essie earned a full ride for technology and engineering. Their dreams were finally within reach. On the day they left for university, Kojo stood waving goodbye, his eyes shining with tears of joy. His heart was just bursting with pride for his incredible daughters. Their journey was just beginning, and he knew they were destined for greatness. College was a whirlwind, but for twins Emma and Essie, it was a launch pad. While others were just hitting the books, these two were building the future. Emma, a whiz with numbers, poured her energy into creating a groundbreaking financial app. It wasn't for big corporations, but for the small, local traders, helping them manage their money and grow their businesses like never before. Meanwhile, Essie had her eyes on a different challenge. She designed incredible solar-powered devices, aiming to bring light and energy to rural communities that were often left in the dark. Their passion was infectious, and their inventions weren't just class projects, they were real solutions. Soon, investors took notice, seeing what Emma and Essie saw, a vision to completely transform Africa. Their journey was just beginning. Have you ever wondered how a simple idea can spark a revolution? Let me tell you about two incredible sisters who are changing lives across Africa. Growing up, they saw firsthand how many families struggled without reliable power or access to financial services. It was a silent struggle, but one they were determined to end. So, they founded Twintech Africa, a game-changing company that blends finance with renewable energy. Their vision was clear: empower African families, just like their own. What happened next is truly inspiring. In just 2 years, their business didn't just grow, it exploded across West Africa, bringing light and opportunity to thousands. This is a story of how two sisters with a powerful dream are lighting up a continent. Word of their success spread like wildfire. Soon, it wasn't just local news talking about them. Global investors started calling, eager to be a part of their revolutionary idea. Tech conferences from Silicon Valley to Shanghai were sending invitations, wanting Emma and Essie to share their story on the world's biggest stages. International magazines plastered their faces on covers, hailing them as the new faces of innovation. In what felt like an overnight whirlwind, AMA and SII weren't just successful entrepreneurs. They became two of the youngest African billionaires. The world didn't just notice them, it celebrated them, honoring their incredible journey, their sharp minds, and the sheer courage it took to turn a dream into a global phenomenon. Their stories prove that with a powerful idea, anything is possible. But while cameras followed them everywhere, the twins remained grounded. They never let the flashing lights or the endless attention distract them from what truly mattered. They never forgot their father. Can you imagine? Growing up, he was their rock, their biggest supporter, their everything. And as they climbed the ladder of success, every single accomplishment, every award they held, every milestone they passed was a tribute to him. Each victory wasn't just for them. It was for the man who raised them all on his own, the one who sacrificed so much to give them a chance at their dreams. Their journey wasn't just about becoming stars. It was about making their father proud. And in that, they found their truest success. Imagine. This one sunny afternoon, a convoy of sleek cars kicks up dust on a quiet village road. Everyone stops what they're doing, their eyes wide with curiosity. Who could it be? The car doors open, and out step two beautiful women, twins, draped in the most elegant kente cloth you've ever seen. An old man, Kojo, watches from the porch of his small wooden house, his face a mix of disbelief and overwhelming joy. These are his daughters, returned. Without a moment's hesitation, they rush to him, not for a simple hug, but to kneel respectfully at his feet, a powerful, sacred gesture in their culture, a sign of deep love and honor. It is a moment that speaks volumes about where they came from and the values they hold dear. A beautiful reunion years in the making. Hey everyone, gather around for a story that's going to warm your heart. It's about a man named Kojo Mensa. For years, he poured everything he had into raising his two daughters, Essie and Amma, all on his own. It wasn't always easy, but his love never wavered. One special day, Essie took his hands and said, "Papa, everything we are is because of you." Then Amma softly added, "And today, we are taking you home with us." Imagine his surprise. They revealed the keys to a brand new house they had built just for him. But that wasn't all. They had also started a foundation in his name, the Kojo Mensa Academy for single fathers and orphans. It was their way of sharing their father's legacy of love and sacrifice with the world. This is what true gratitude looks like. Tears streamed down Kojo's face, but these weren't tears of sadness. For years, he had been the village outcast, a man mocked, abandoned, and left utterly alone. The whispers and stares had been his constant companions. But today, everything changed. The entire village watched in stunned silence. Their awe, palpable. The man they had once looked down upon was now the father of billionaires. His children, driven by the memory of his struggle, had returned not with vengeance, but with a vision to transform Africa. As he stood there, watching his legacy unfold, a profound sense of peace washed over Kojo for the first time in decades, wrapping around him like a warm, comforting blanket. News outlets all over Africa started telling their story. Documentaries were filmed, and people began calling the twins the daughters of destiny. Their journey resonated deeply, and across the continent, single fathers found a powerful source of hope in Kojo's experience. His name transformed into a symbol representing resilience, incredible sacrifice, and the purest form of unconditional love. It was more than just one family's tale. It became a beacon for countless others, showing that love and determination could overcome even the most challenging circumstances. Kojo's story proved that a father's love knows no bounds. And so, the story of Kojo, Amma, and Essie spread far beyond Ghana, carried on the winds of the Sahara and whispered in the bustling markets of Accra. It became a powerful reminder that true greatness can often rise from the ashes of heartbreak, and that the most beautiful flowers, our children, can bloom from the soil of sacrifice. Their journey shows us that sometimes the deepest betrayals we face can pave the way for our brightest, most unexpected victories. Under the warm African sun, their incredible tale lives on. It stands as timeless proof that destiny, in its mysterious ways, ultimately favors those who dare to love without limits and fight for what they believe in. Their legacy is a beacon of hope, a story for the ages. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories.